Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery here. We get together with our distribution partners most weekday mornings. We didn't yesterday due to travel, but most weekday mornings we get together at 8 o'clock Central. We spend a few minutes each morning talking about strategies, tips, techniques, sharing success stories, and supporting each of you. So today's topic is an interesting one, and it's based upon the feedback that several of you have instigated. So if you're familiar with the Guaranteed Funding website, it has multiple pages, multiple programs and resources. Our home page, which is the one that I'm on here, refers to our Access to Capital program. We've had a number of you ask, sometimes even plead, that we place a greater emphasis on the Access to Capital program to bring clients into the funnel. And so I know a number of you, Lon and Adam, and a number of you have requested that. So we're going to do that starting today. So let's talk about what the Access to Capital program is and how you can use this as a very easy funnel builder. The most important thing probably to understand is the Access to Capital offering has no upfront cost. No upfront cost to the client. So what do you and I know? When you and I go out to the marketplace and we offer people a resource that has no upfront cost, we have a very high conversion rate, very high enrollment. So this can be the starting point for client relationships, which we'll talk about the value proposition in a minute and what's in it for you. And then for those clients that then would need the credit and funding, you could use that as step 2. So today's concept is using Access to Capital as step 1. We'll provide you a free website, even if you're a branch, a free replicated website, so you can do this very easily. But before we get into implementation, let's talk about programming, and then we'll talk about implementation processes. So the Access to Capital program was our original resource. When I worked for the SBA, this is where it all began. This is when the three of us left, Chuck, Mark, and myself left the SBA. This was the platform that we took out to the marketplace. So what the Access to Capital program is doing is building a credible business, not business owner, right? Business owner falls over into credit and funding. But Access to Capital is building a credible business that qualifies for a minimum of $100,000, has an integrated financial literacy curriculum based around 4 modules. No cost up front, no cost to go through the curriculum. So what we're doing is building a credible business. So you can see the 3 variables. We're going to build the participants' financial literacy through 4 modules. We're going to help them understand what business planning is. We're going to build a business plan. We're going to help them understand what business credit is, and we're going to help them build their business credit. We help them understand about financial reporting. So often we see clients that really don't understand what a balance sheet is. I was in a meeting yesterday with an M&A broker, merger and acquisition broker, and he agreed. His name's Tom as well. He agreed. So many small businesses are lacking the fundamental knowledge, and then banking and money. So that is included for free. We help build the credibility of the business, and then we package the loan. So to the client, there's no upfront cost. So effective today, if you want to use this as your door opener, you can. We'll provide you a free replicated website. You would get that over on the partners page. So we're going to go ahead and relaunch the partnership program, different than the branch office. You could use this again to fill into your funnel. You don't have to go pay for a website. You can fill out on the partners page. get a free website. We call this the affiliate program. Then people will go to your page. They'll enroll in the Access to Capital program. You'll be notified. You'll be paid from that, which we'll talk about in a moment. But now you have a pipeline to be able to convert into the credit and funding if they want and if you want. You could just let them stay in the Access to Capital. So the way I describe this is it's like two sides of the coin. The Access to Capital program is building the credibility of the business itself, where credit and funding is building the credibility of the business owner. So the concept here is, if you wish, you can become an affiliate yourself, free, no cost, takes you just a moment to do so. You go here to the partners page, fill this out. You'll be emailed a link, and that'll be your replicated link, free of charge, doesn't cost you a penny. It'll look just like this, but it'll be a unique link. Then when you're doing marketing, you can market the no upfront cost resource. And we could talk more about the value proposition in a moment. But the bottom line is, if you go out to the marketplace with no upfront cost, it's easier to capture a big funnel, and then you'll be paid off those, which I'll go through. But those also then could become your credit and funding prospects. So what's in the Access to Capital? So the Access to Capital does guarantee a minimum of the 100,000. Any US-based business is fine. They can be pre-revenue, pre-formation. We're going to help them get their first tranche of funding right away. So let's talk about that, because that's how the economic engine works. So you could have a client or a prospective client. You'll have a link. You'll send them to your page. It'll look just like this, and you help them put in first name, last name, email, and phone, and then hit the get started. That'll take them to page 2 of the transaction, where it'll ask for just a couple more pieces of information. Notice it doesn't ask who referred you, because we know it's hard coded. As long as you've gone to the partners page and have gotten your link, and you're given your link, it is a replicated side of this. So when they're filling out this form, it's actually an embedded form. Can't really tell, but it's an embedded form that feeds into our CRM. So the link that they're using, which is your link, is automatically coded to you. So once they hit the get started, it takes them to the second step. They're able to accept the terms and conditions, and now they're a client. Does not ask them to pay anything. There is no upfront cost to enroll in Access to Capital. So then what we're going to do is then send them an onboarding email. And so this is not going to be through your branch, right? The branch program is credit and funding. This is not private labeled or white labeled. This is through our website, because it's meant to be easy. It's a replicated process. So what happens then, they'll receive an onboarding for Access to Capital that'll give them a link to complete, so we can get an application on file to apply for funding, because there is no upfront cost. There is a refundable setup fee for Access to Capital, but that is paid after their first tranche of capital. Some of you have become concerned or confused, thinking, there's no upfront cost for credit and funding. That's not true at all. Credit and funding does have an upfront cost, and this is ran through the branch. What we're describing today is how, if you need some help better filling your funnel, you can go to the marketplace, promote Access to Capital, which is the homepage of your replicated website. You will be notified automatically. It's not a manual process. It's automatic. Once someone goes to your replicated site and they fill out these 4 fields, first name, last name, email, phone, hit the blue button, you'll be notified. So you'll know that you now have a lead in the funnel. And then when they complete step 2, which is not shown here, then you'll also be notified. So what's that doing? It's providing you an easy way to go out to the marketplace with a program that has no upfront cost, and then as those clients come in, if you wanted, you don't have to, if you wanted then to go ahead and pivot them also into credit and funding, you could. Credit and funding is built around building the credibility of the business owner, whereby access to capital is building the credibility of the business. So, client enrolls, you're notified, they receive an onboarding email. They are assigned one of our reps. Our rep will reach out to them, call them, say thank you for enrolling, make sure that they receive the onboarding email, and encourage the client to then complete, because they're a client at that point, to complete the funding app. The funding app is the same as the first tranche of financing that you and I are used to in the credit and funding. So what we can do is then find out what capital, how much capital they qualify for initially with no upfront cost. They can pick from those options. Once they do receive funding, then they are paying a $2,500 refundable setup fee, of which you are paid. So you're paid from that. As you'll see on the partners page, you're paid just a real simple $250 for each person that enrolls. And I guess that's best described in this training video. So when they enroll, you're paid $250. Now, this is set up as an affiliate model, not network marketing, not MLM. So it does pay 3 levels deep. So you'll make $250, whomever referred you makes a $100 override, and whomever referred them makes a $50 override. So it pays out 3 levels deep. All of that tracking is automatic through the partnership program. So if you've not set up as an affiliate in this new structure and you want to use this as a way to go to the marketplace, you can. You sign up here, doesn't cost you a penny. You'll get a link for a free replicated site momentarily. It'll look just like this. Then you can give that link out. It's easier for some of you to go to the marketplace with a proposition with no upfront cost. Now, there are significant differences between the access to capital with no upfront cost and the credit and funding. They don't really compete with each other. As I've mentioned, credit and funding is about building the credibility of the business owner. Access to capital is about building the credibility of the business. So we don't provide free credit resources on the personal side, but we do provide free credit resources, on the business side. And that kind of makes sense, right? Because credit and funding is about the business owner. Access to capital is about the business itself. And there really isn't credit repair for businesses, but we do help them add positive trade lines. Also, in access to capital, we are not giving away collateral. So in terms of the $10,000 of receivables that are included at no cost to clients in the credit and funding through your branch, that hasn't changed. Nothing's changing through your branch offering. But in access to capital, we teach and we instruct about collateral, but we're not providing them free collateral. So hopefully you can see that difference. But for you to have a full understanding, you can certainly go to guaranteedfunding.org, get set up as a partner if you would like, watch the little training video, read what's here. But let's go ahead and open it up for questions or comments. I think this is going to help a number of you who are struggling or just not reaching your potential on the credit and funding, because the credit and funding does have an upfront cost. It's paid to your branch. There is an upfront cost for that. And that's okay, right? There's a lot of things in life that have an upfront cost. We're not unique in that regard. But if you're looking for a resource that has no upfront cost, this is a way to go out to the marketplace. It's not as lucrative for you as what your branch offering is, because on the credit and funding, you're making a lot more money on a per client basis, but you have to be able to close clients with an advance fee, which there's nothing wrong with that. Lots of things cost money up front. Access to capital, there's no upfront cost. No upfront cost. So you could use this as an entry point to reach out to the marketplace, fill your funnel. You're notified when they fill this out, when they become a lead. When they hit the get started and they go to page 2, which is not shown here, you're notified when they've enrolled. You make a nice, simple $250. So it's not as lucrative, but it's easy, free replicated site, no upfront cost for the client. So the first question is asked by Timothy: can clients do both credit and funding and access to capital? Yes, actually, a lot of clients do both. Well, why would they want to do both? Is that redundant? No, because access to capital is what? Building the credibility of the business, and credit and funding is building the credibility of the business owner, right? So two sides to the coin. Could someone do just access to capital and not do credit and funding? Sure. Yeah, if they're credible enough as an individual, they don't need help becoming credible as a person. We're just needing to work on the business, kind of on these 3 balls here, then we're perfectly fine. So I know a number of you have asked for this. You said, hey, I've got some clients, they're credible, they don't need help with credit, they're not wanting to enroll in credit and funding because they don't need help with credit. What do we do? Well, here's an alternative. Drive them into the access to capital program instead. Help them, no money up front. You're still paid, just not as much, but you have no implementation responsibilities on access to capital. So that makes it a lot easier. I think many of you know I was traveling yesterday because we're in the process, kind of the final stages of acquiring a significant size firm. That firm has a bunch of staff and has been around for more than 10 years. So we're acquiring that organization. So we're going to have an influx of employees, which is great. We'll be combining the 2 organizations, at least to some extent. So we'll have the staff available to be able to do the servicing for access to capital, whereby you do the servicing through the branch if you want to enroll people in credit and funding. All right, so we need to open it up for questions, comments, concerns. Does this make sense to everyone? Do you not see the difference, or well, let me ask it differently. Do you understand the difference between what access to capital does versus credit and funding? All right, Trevor's got the first or second question. Trevor asks, is the main difference between the business startup? That's a good question. So the startup program over here is an alternative to access to capital. No business would do both. The startup is if they don't have a business. So what we're doing is we're starting them from scratch, Trevor. We're getting them an address. We're filing with the Secretary of State. We're getting their EIN. We're getting their bank account. We're building their business credit. We're transferring assets for free. And then they qualify for geographically for the Chapman Fund. So the startup is if they need that complete value proposition. I think what you might find, though, Trevor, is some clients that already have their business formed, but it's not qualified for funding. Well, so then you could bring them into the access to capital where we're using their business, not a newly created business. This in no way, in my mind, conflicts or competes with your branch and the credit and funding. It's an extra arrow in your quiver that several of you have been using as your entry point into your sales funnel. Because again, what do we know? We know it's easier to enroll clients when there's no upfront cost. They pay after they get funded. All right, so that, I believe, answers Trevor's question. Sylvia's asking the second question, which is really good. So she's noticing if in access to capital, there is a $100,000 guarantee, and in credit and funding, if there is 100,000 guarantee. If someone enrolls in both, Sylvia asks, do they have 200,000 guaranteed? And the answer is yes. Yeah, because they're obviously going to be stronger. Now we've got the business owner strong, and we've got the business itself strong. So yes, you can kind of stack those two, but they're really two separate programs. It's fine if a client wants to do one, not the other, or they could do both. Thank you for that, Sylvia. Ron's asking about the comp. Yeah, so the access to capital is much different. It's built around the affiliate model. So over on the affiliate model, you can learn about it on the partners page. And there's a little training video. And if you click enroll, it'll actually take you, we can click on it if you want. So let's just click on it so you see what it looks like. So it's going to take you here, which is the bottom of the page, to enroll. It's real simple. And when you become, if you choose to become an affiliate, as you sign up other affiliates, they automatically stack in your organization. So you get those overrides. But you're right, Ron. It's much less lucrative for the access to capital program than it is credit and funding. The primary reason is we're doing all the work. We're providing you a free website. It's kind of a hands-off approach, where the credit and funding is a hands-on approach, right? It's your branch, it's your agreement, it's your interfacing with the client. So you could do one or the other. All right, so that was Ron's question. Pauline's asking, can someone be just a partner, an affiliate, and not a branch? And the answer is yes. Yes, that is fine. John's asking about the comp on the access to capital because he came in a little bit late. So just again, to recap it, as stated over on the partners page, it's real simple on the affiliate side. You're making a flat $250 per deal under the affiliate model. And that's paid after the client has paid the refundable setup fee. The refundable setup fee is not charged in advance. There's no upfront cost. It's paid after their first tranche of capital. So there's no question, as a branch, you make a whole lot more money than you do as what we'll call as an affiliate. Understood. But you could stack the two or do one or the other. All right. And then questions about timing. So if you go to the partners page and you choose to sign up as a partner, as an affiliate, which will take you down to this page here and get you set up, the affiliate program, I believe, pays out once a month, as compared to, which is the way most affiliate programs do, as compared to credit and funding, where it's through your branch and you're paid the same day. So you can see that those are two very different approaches of how you're working with clients, but you could do both. Sylvia asked if we're using the partners page, does that qualify for branch production? I'll have to ask about that. To the best of my knowledge, no, but maybe there's some compromise that they could offer, but I don't think so, but I'll check on that, Sylvia. All right, Eric asks, what do the clients have to do to be qualified? They're real for the access to capital. There really aren't any minimum qualifications. We take them as they are. Now, the assumption is they have a business, right? Because if they don't have a business, they're going to need to form a business. But there's really no minimum qualifications. It's just, obviously, Eric, if they don't even have a business formed yet, you'll probably be better off to get them over in the startup program. Because what we don't want is someone to enroll in access to capital and say, great, there's no upfront cost. Love it. I want to pay after I get funding. Great. I understand that reason too. But that doesn't mean that we're going to go out and provide them these things that we do in the startup. We're not providing access to capital clients a free address. We're not providing access to capital clients free filing with the Secretary of State. So there are technically no minimum criteria, but just go into it eyes wide open. You need a business for business funding. We don't need a business for credit and funding because we can get funding off the business owner, him or herself. Let's see. Eric also asked, do you contact them directly? So from the access to capital side, you'll get a free landing page that'll look just like this. It'll have your unique link. You'll have people fill this out, hit the get started. It'll take them to step 2, and then you don't need to do anything with them. Now, if you're going to try to upsell them into the credit and funding, then you of course would. You would follow up with them and then make your pitch on the credit and funding, because it's not competitive. Again, credit and funding is building the credibility of the business owner, access to capital, the credibility of the business. But as I mentioned earlier, Eric, you have no implementation responsibilities on access to capital. 0. All right, so Tina asks, if our credit and funding clients want to do the access to capital, so her scenario is she's got a client in credit and funding, didn't get any cash funding for the first tranche. What's going to happen when they enroll in access to capital? So with access to capital, there's no upfront cost. They are going to pay a $2,500 refundable setup fee, which generates your commission, and that's after their first tranche. We have different types of funding, and everyone will get at least one funding offer, so they're able to cover the refundable setup fee. So I think that's the answer to Tina's question. Ken says this is a great way of helping nonprofits. Yeah, because we can work with for-profits or nonprofits on access to capital. Andrea asked how much the refundable setup fee is. The refundable setup fee for access to capital is $2,500. We're paying you through the affiliate channel 10% of that, which is $250. You're paid that up front. And as I mentioned earlier, we pay 2 levels of overrides, 100 and then 50. So it pays out 3 levels deep, so you can be rewarded for other affiliates you bring in. But again, there's no upfront cost. So let's say you have let's be very practical. When could you use this? Assuming you're a branch, when could you use this? Well, let's say you want an easier way to build a sales funnel. Obviously, going to the marketplace with an offering with no upfront cost and a $100,000 guarantee would be effective. Second is, let's say that you have people caught in your sales funnel. So in other words, they've signed up for credit and fund. I'm sorry, they're a lead of yours for credit and funding, but they've not signed up or they've not paid. Then you could use this as a pivot point if you wish. But it's up to you, right? My job here is just to educate you that here's a different resource, here's how it works for the client, and here's how you would financially benefit. It's up to you if you want to integrate this into your protocols or not. All right, so next question, Ken asked, could legal entities apply for this funding, like a sole proprietorship, S Corp? Sure, yeah, there's no specific requirements of it needing to be a specific type of entity. And yes, it's true, and he's bringing up a point that contradicts my point earlier. We can certainly get some types of funding through a sole proprietorship, including SBA loans, quite frankly. In general, we think about having a business if we're trying to get business funding, but Ken brought up a good point. Technically, sole proprietorship is a type of a business, a rather informal type, and it can be funded. So he's correct. John asks, is it guaranteed? And the answer is yes, we guarantee it in writing. Again, there's no mysteries. We're very transparent. You can go Well, we recommend you go to the partner page and get set up as an affiliate. But even if not, you can go to guaranteed funding, go to the home page. You can fill this out, hit get started, and see the exact process. You'll know how it works. There's no secrets. It's all there in front of you. Ron asks, can you earn commissions on yourself for enrolling? And the answer is yes. And it frankly makes a lot of sense, because it's a quick way, and Ron's reading a little deeper into this. So let's say you have a client that you want to enroll into access to capital. So you could first set up as an affiliate yourself, cost you nothing. So then you have your own link. So then you could have your client sign up as a sub-affiliate underneath you. So now they're hard-coded. You're earning a $100 override every time they sign someone up. They could then go sign themselves up, which is kind of what Ron's getting to. So then they would get $250 for signing themselves up, plus you would get the override for that. So that's an easy way to put really money in their pocket, cash money. All right. Let's see. Pauline's asking, yes. So these are two different programs, and they each have their own terms and conditions. The terms and conditions for access to capital are transparently right here on the website. Terms and conditions for your branch are subject to your discretion, right? Because as a branch, you're determining the terms and conditions. All right, let's see. Got a couple repetitive questions. Let me skip over. Oh, Tina's asking, what's the performance fee for access to capital? The performance fee is a flat 10% for access to capital, which is what the standard is for credit and funding. I know some of you are making that higher. A few of you are making it lower. But you'll see that everything's transparent. You can go in, put in your information, hit get started. It'll take you to step 2, and everything is there. And so, okay, answered Audrey's question. Yeah, so again, the payout for our affiliates for access to capital is very straightforward, and it's in the terms and conditions when you get set up as an affiliate, so it's transparent. But you're making $250 each time someone goes to your free replicated website and signs up for access to capital, pays 3 levels deep, $250, $150. No cost to be an affiliate. You can be an affiliate, not be a client. You can be a client, not an affiliate. So no funny business. All right, and let's see. What's the startup program address provided for a client to get its EIN? Yeah, I think, Mr. Wynn, that's probably an individual question you and I should talk about, because it's a little bit outside the scope of what we're on here. So let's wrap this up as a group. And of course, anyone that has individual questions, we should be scheduling weekly one-on-one calls to go through all of that, or speak more frequently. But our topic today, in summary, was that we are essentially relaunching the Access to Capital program. Why? Because many of you have asked for it. Some of you said that you needed a resource to take it out to the marketplace where the clients have no upfront cost. You wanted something so you could tell people there's no upfront cost, get them in the door, develop a relationship with them. And then from there, if you wanted to sell them insurance, because some of you are insurance sales professionals, if you wanted to sell them CPA services, some of you are CPAs, if you wanted to then introduce them and pivot them to credit and funding, you certainly could. Now you have a trusted client relationship. They've already come in the door. There's no implementation responsibilities on your part. Our staff takes care of this. We've been hesitant to push access to capital in the past because we've been thin-staffed. We're progressing on that acquisition. We have a large number of new employees that will be coming aboard, and so we now have staff to be able to handle implementation of a large influx of access to capital. All right, well, hopefully we covered that. Action steps. Just simply go to guaranteedfunding.org, go to the partner page, get set up as an affiliate yourself. It's free and easy. You'll get a free website. Will look just like this, and then you can use whenever you would like if you like, you can drive people to your landing page, drive them into this, no upfront cost to the client. You're paid for it, but now you have a client relationship that would be a lot easier to pivot them to the credit and funding if you choose to. All right. Well, thanks, everyone. We'll see you back tomorrow morning. Let us know if you have any questions. Bye-bye.